You think power is about dominance. It's not. It's about control. Not over others, but over the chaos inside your own mind. The man who masters his emotions becomes a fortress, cold, precise, impossible to manipulate. They'll try to provoke you to drag you into their noise, but you'll smile because you see the game. Every reaction is a leak in your armor. Every emotional slip, a gift to your enemies. You want to become untouchable. Then learn this. Control your emotions and you control the world. Comment this now. My mind bows to no one, because today you stop being ruled by your feelings and you start using them as weapons. Number 1. The first law of control. The weak man reacts. The powerful man calculates. Every emotion that surges within you is a test of your sovereignty. Most people live as slaves to their impulses. Anger, fear, jealousy, pride. They obey these internal tyrants without question, and in doing so, they forfeit control. But you are not most people. You are here to become the architect of your own psychology. Understand this. Emotion is energy, neither good nor bad. What destroys men is not emotion itself, but their attachment to it. A Machiavellian mind bends emotion into strategy. He feels anger and channels it into precision, not chaos. He feels fear and turns it into vigilance, not paralysis. Every reaction you suppress, every feeling you analyze instead of obeying adds another layer to your armor. Soon, you won't need to pretend to be calm. You will be calm even under fire. The cold mind wins because it does not tremble when others panic. Comment this phrase now. I command my storm. Let it echo in your mind until emotion itself kneels before your reason. From this moment, your feelings no longer control you. They serve you as loyal instruments of calculated power. Number 2, the art of emotional alchemy. To master yourself, you must learn the forbidden art, transforming emotional chaos into disciplined energy. Every surge of feeling is raw material. The same fire that consumes weak men can forge you into steel if you know how to use it. Most people drown in their emotions because they try to suppress them. Suppression breeds weakness. Transformation breeds dominance. When rage rises in your chest, do not choke it. Study it, dissect it, weaponize it. Ask, what triggered this? Who benefits from my reaction? Every emotion reveals a blueprint of your vulnerabilities. A Machiavellian mind observes this without judgment. He knows that emotion is not a curse. It's information, intelligence delivered through instinct. You take that data, refine it through logic, and redirect it toward your objectives. Fear becomes focus. Pain becomes endurance. Love becomes loyalty to your mission. The alchemist does not reject the storm. He rides it, guiding the lightning toward his will. The secret is detachment without numbness, to feel deeply but remain unmoved. That is power in its purest form. You must practice this daily in silence, in solitude, in moments when no one is watching, because emotional mastery is not for display, it is for control. The world rewards those who can act while others react. The man who controls his emotional temperature can walk through fire and still speak with ice in his voice. When they insult you, you will smile. When they betray you, you will adapt. When they fear you, you will remain calm. Because fear is the recognition of power and calmness is its proof. Comment this phrase right now. I turn emotion into power. Let the world chase comfort while you chase command. The cold mind is not heartless. It is disciplined. And in a world ruled by chaos, discipline is divine. Number 3, the discipline of silence. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of control. Every word you speak reveals a piece of your inner architecture, your thoughts, your fears, your intentions. The weak man cannot stand silence because he fears what it exposes, his lack of control. The strong man, however, thrives in it. He speaks only when words serve a purpose, and when he does, they land with the weight of calculated intent. Understand this. People reveal themselves in noise. They talk to prove worth, to seek validation. to fill the void their mind cannot dominate. But the Machiavellian man observes, listens, and records. Every conversation becomes data. Every reaction, every hesitation, every slip of emotion from others becomes intelligence he can later weaponize. When you master silence, you become unpredictable, unreadable, and that makes you dangerous. Silence disarms the manipulator, frustrates the emotional, and terrifies the insecure. In silence, you conserve power. In words, you spend it. Your restraint becomes your dominance. When others rush to speak, you let the storm of their emotions expose them. While your stillness announces authority, people will project meaning onto your silence, and that projection becomes your tool. You let them think what they want while you move. In shadows, remember this: the calmest man in the room controls it. You do not owe explanations, reassurance, or emotional displays to anyone. Your composure is your weapon, and your mystery is your shield. Practice the discipline of delayed response. Count 2, 10 before you reply. Pause before you react. The one who pauses always wins, because time itself becomes his ally. Comment this phrase now: my silence is power. Let it burn into your mind like a vow. From this moment, you speak with intention or not at all. You are no longer desperate to be understood. You are content being underestimated, because power moves best when it moves unseen. Number 4, the psychology of emotional detachment. Detachment is not coldness, it is command. It is the difference between the man who is ruled by circumstance and the man who shapes it. To detach emotionally is to refuse to let external forces dictate your internal state. The average man reacts to everything. He is a puppet pulled by invisible strings of approval, anger, lust, and fear. The Machiavellian man cuts those strings one by one until nothing moves him but his own will. Detachment means you can experience emotion without drowning in it. It means you can lose everything: money, status, love, and still remain centered, calculating your next move with icy precision. The world cannot break a man who has already mastered the art of letting go. You must learn to look at people not through attachment, but through utility. What do they add? What do they cost? What do they reveal? This is not cruelty. It is clarity. Love without dependence. Trust without naivety. Engage without surrender. That is the essence of psychological armor. Emotional detachment frees you from manipulation, because manipulators feed on reaction. When you stop reacting, their power dies. When they cannot trigger you, they cannot control you. You become unpredictable, a ghost in the social battlefield. Calm, unreadable, untouchable. Detachment also sharpens your perception. When you are not emotionally entangled, you see patterns others miss, weaknesses others ignore, opportunities others are too blinded by feeling to notice. This is how empires are built, not on passion, but on clarity. Do not confuse detachment with apathy. You still feel, but you choose when and how to express it. You are not denying emotion. You are mastering it. This is how a king thinks, how a strategist survives, how a predator hunts. Practice detachment in small ways. Delay gratification. Remain calm in conflict. Withdraw when insulted. Observe instead of reacting. Each act of control reinforces your power. Comment this now: nothing controls me. I control all within. Let that phrase etch itself into your psyche as a commandment. Remember, emotional detachment is not the absence of humanity. It is the elevation of it. You are no longer a slave to the storm. You are the storm moving with purpose, untouched by chaos, feared by all who depend on reaction. Number 5, the mirror of self-domination. Power begins where self-deception ends. Most men never face themselves because truth terrifies them more than failure. They build illusions of confidence, masks of control, and yet, beneath it all, they tremble at their own reflection. The Machiavellian mind does not fear the mirror. He dissects it. He studies his flaws like a scientist studying a dangerous specimen. Every insecurity, every weakness, every emotional impulse is not hidden, but understood. To dominate yourself, You must first expose yourself. You must drag every shadow from the corners of your mind and make it kneel before your awareness. This is the essence of inner sovereignty, the courage to see who you truly are without flinching. Emotional mastery demands brutal honesty. You cannot command a mind you lie to. When you feel jealousy, you admit it. When you feel fear, you trace its origin. When you feel weakness, you dissect the structure of it until it no longer owns you. This process is not comfortable, but comfort is the language of mediocrity. The powerful man seeks friction because friction sharpens him. You must treat your emotions as data points, feedback loops revealing where your control still leaks. Every time you lose your temper, every time you react impulsively, you're being shown the areas of your psychological architecture that need reinforcement. The Machiavellian mind welcomes this revelation, not with shame, but with calculation. He knows that self-awareness is the foundation of invincibility. You cannot manipulate a man who knows himself because he already understands his triggers better than you ever could. Self-domination is not about killing emotion. It is about conditioning it. You train your feelings the same way a warrior trains his body, through discipline, repetition, and exposure. The more you expose yourself to discomfort, the less it controls you. When pain comes, you breathe. When chaos strikes, you analyze. When betrayal burns, you smirk because you expected it, and expectation neutralizes shock. You are no longer surprised by human behavior. You have studied it, including your own. This is psychological chess, and the board begins inside your head. Comment this now. I master myself before I master the world. Let that line echo like a ritual, a declaration of power carved into your mind. The man who knows himself cannot be broken because every attack only exposes more data for his evolution. Understand this: power is not found in conquering others. It is found in conquering the impulses that control others. The mirror is your greatest enemy and your greatest ally. Look into it until you no longer see a man chasing control, but a man who is control. From that moment, no emotion, no person, no betrayal will ever shake you again. Number 6. The anatomy of psychological warfare. To survive in a world driven by manipulation, you must become fluent in the language of control. Every interaction is a negotiation of power. Every conversation a psychological duel. The majority are unaware of this battlefield. They walk through life emotionally naked, governed by impulses and validation-seeking instincts. But the Machiavellian man sees it for what it is: a chessboard of human desires, fears, and hidden motives. Mastery begins with perception. To win, you must learn to see not what people show, but what they hide. Watch the micro-expressions, the delayed responses, the tone shifts. People leak their truth in silence and reveal their weakness in over-explanation. The first rule of psychological warfare is observation. The second is control, not of others, but of yourself. If your emotions dictate your moves, you are a pawn. If your composure dictates theirs, you are the king. Control the frame and you control the outcome. People follow emotional gravity. They are pulled toward whoever maintains the stronger state. Your calm becomes dominance. Your indifference becomes power. When they try to provoke you, do not resist. Absorb. The provocation becomes data, a map of their insecurities. When someone tries to anger you, they are showing you exactly where they can be broken. Use that knowledge strategically. Manipulation is not inherently evil. It is a tool, and like all tools, it depends on the wielder's intent. To manipulate effectively, you must understand emotional leverage, the ability to trigger response without exposing your own. You maintain neutrality while planting ideas in the minds of others. The trick is subtlety. The best manipulation is invisible, the kind that makes them believe they chose the path you designed. A Machiavellian strategist never forces, he guides. He gives illusion of choice, but the outcome is already predetermined. Every move he makes is calibrated. Words chosen like weapons. Pauses used like traps. Understand this: dominance is not achieved through aggression. It is achieved through calibration. You must appear harmless until the moment comes. To strike, power built on intimidation crumbles under true strength. Power, built on psychological precision, endures forever. The Stoic and the manipulator share one truth. Emotion is weakness when uncontrolled. Your neutrality terrifies those addicted to reaction because it exposes their lack of discipline. The moment they realize they cannot emotionally move you, they begin to orbit you. Their fear of losing control becomes your influence. Study human nature not from books, but from observation in arguments, in relationships, in silence. Every person is motivated by three things: survival, validation, and advantage. Feed one, starve another, and you can predict their behavior before they act. But remember, never lose your humanity to your intellect. The Machiavellian mind uses empathy not to feel but to understand. Empathy is a tool of precision, not sentiment. Through it, you read people like open books and edit their perception of reality. When you walk into a room, observe who commands the tone. If it's not you, claim it silently. Posture, breathing, stillness. Psychological presence speaks louder than words. The one who controls the emotional temperature of the environment controls everyone within it. Practice detachment not as a defense, but as a weapon. People will attempt to mirror your energy. If you remain composed, they will unconsciously align with your rhythm. You lead through emotional contrast, calm among chaos, stillness among noise. That is how rulers are born. Your silence, your gaze, your calculated speech, all of it must radiate authority. You do not beg for respect. You condition it. You do not ask for loyalty. You make it logical. When they realize their stability depends on your presence, you've won. But remember this law: never let your ego destroy your strategy. Ego blinds the tactician faster than emotion. Stay detached from outcomes. Focus only on positioning. When you position yourself correctly, results are inevitable. Do not reveal your intentions until they are irreversible. A true Machiavellian never announces power. He embodies it. The greatest warriors of the mind operate under one principle: invisibility until inevitability. Comment this phrase now. I see the game and I play it flawlessly. Let it anchor in your mind like steel, because once you master psychological warfare, you no longer chase control, you are control. The world becomes predictable, people become transparent, and your emotions become your most obedient soldiers. Number 7, the doctrine of strategic coldness. There is a power that no title, no wealth, no army can rival. The power of a man who has mastered emotional temperature. Strategic coldness is not cruelty. It is the art of remaining rational when others drown in sentiment. The average person equates warmth with morality and coldness with malice, but they misunderstand power. Warmth is a tool. Coldness is the foundation. A Machiavellian mind knows that emotions are the enemy of long-term strategy. Compassion, when unchecked, becomes a liability. Anger, when unmeasured, becomes self-sabotage. The man of cold calculation sees through this. He feels, but he filters. He understands that to move efficiently through a world governed by emotional instability, he must embody the opposite: precision. The cold man observes chaos with surgical clarity. While others panic, he plans. While others cry for fairness, he adjusts reality in his favor. Coldness allows him to separate what is from what he wants it to be. It is the death of delusion and the birth of vision. This is why the powerful rarely show warmth, not because they cannot feel, but because they cannot afford to. Every emotional display is an invitation for manipulation. Every ounce of empathy spent recklessly weakens your authority. You must learn to ration your warmth like a weapon, to give it when it amplifies influence and withhold it when it exposes vulnerability. This is the essence of dominance. Controlled generosity, deliberate distance. Strategic coldness is not about isolation. It's about prioritization. You choose who earns access to your warmth. You reward loyalty, not need. You nurture potential, not dependency. When people realize your affection must be earned, they value it. When they know your validation is rare, they crave it. The Machiavellian man understands that scarcity breeds influence. His presence becomes a privilege, not a comfort. To embody this power, you must detach from the need to be liked. The desire for approval is emotional slavery. Replace it with the pursuit of respect, not demanded but commanded through discipline. You speak less, act precisely, and allow your results to define your value. Your indifference to validation makes you magnetic, because in a world of desperate egos, self-containment is godlike. Remember, the truly cold man is not lifeless. He is selective. He loves when it strengthens him, not when it weakens him. He forgives when it benefits him, not when it flatters his image. He walks away not from hate but from strategic necessity. Coldness is emotional. Efficiency, conserving power for where it truly matters. To train it, expose yourself to discomfort deliberately. Sit with insult without response. Endure rejection without retreat. Watch betrayal without breaking. Each test will harden your edges and polish your perception. People will call you heartless because they mistake detachment for emptiness. Let them. Their misunderstanding protects your advantage. You are not heartless. You are disciplined. You are not distant. You are directed. You no longer react to emotion. You orchestrate it. When others lose composure, you study their unraveling like a scientist observing a specimen. The colder you remain, the clearer you see. And in clarity lies domination. Do not seek warmth in chaos. Be the calm center around which chaos must revolve. That is how empires are ruled. Not through passion, but through precision. Comment this phrase now. My calm is my crown. Etch it into your consciousness. From this point forward, you will not chase peace. You will be peace. You will not beg for loyalty. You will command it. The world bends to those who remain unmoved. For nothing terrifies the emotional more than a man who cannot be shaken. Coldness, when mastered, is not a flaw. It is the highest form of strength, the kind that cannot be touched, corrupted, or controlled. Number 8. The law of controlled chaos. To rule your emotions, you must first understand the battlefield they thrive on. Chaos. The world is chaos disguised as order, and most people spend their lives trying to escape it. But a Machiavellian mind knows the truth. Chaos cannot be escaped. It must be mastered. Controlled chaos is the discipline of remaining composed while others disintegrate. It's the art of thriving inside uncertainty, of bending disorder into advantage. The average man craves predictability. He feels safe only when life follows his expectations. But safety is the illusion. That keeps him weak. The powerful man walks into the storm willingly. He seeks pressure, tension, volatility because he knows that within chaos lies opportunity. The trick is never to resist it. Resistance is emotional. Instead, you adapt. You move with the flow, redirecting the current rather than fighting it. This is what Machiavelli meant when he spoke of fortuna, the unpredictable force of fate that crushes the unprepared and crowns the disciplined. You cannot control fate, but you can prepare your mind to remain unbroken when it shifts. Controlled chaos means maintaining your structure while everything else burns. When people panic, you pause. When systems fail, you adapt. When power collapses, you collect it. That composure makes you unstoppable because others will always lose their clarity first. Every crisis, every betrayal, every unpredictable event is a test of how tightly you hold your center. Most will crumble because their identity depends on stability. Yours must depend on adaptability. To master chaos, you must first create it within yourself. Expose your mind to discomfort, to unpredictability, to loss, and remain unmoved. The more chaos you can internalize without breaking, the greater your external control becomes. Emotional resilience is not built through comfort, but through exposure to volatility. You must condition yourself to act decisively under pressure. A man who cannot stay rational in chaos is a liability to himself. A man who can stay calm becomes a weapon. The Machiavellian strategist thrives in this realm because he doesn't chase peace. He shapes it. He treats chaos as his raw material, sculpting from it power and precision. When others lose control, he gains leverage. Their fear becomes his opening, their confusion, his strategy. This is why those who can regulate their emotional state dominate those who cannot. People follow whoever seems most certain, especially in uncertainty. Your calmness becomes a beacon. Your composure becomes influence. To maintain this control, detach your self-worth from outcome. Success and failure must mean the same to you. Both are feedback. Both are data. Emotionally remain balanced between victory and loss. Pride is as dangerous as fear because both distort perception. The key is neutrality. 2. Observe chaos without internalizing it. When you stop craving certainty, you become untouchable. The man who adapts faster always wins. Remember, chaos favors the cold and punishes the emotional. Train your reactions to slow down under pressure. Let silence be your default response to panic. This is the law of controlled chaos. The calm mind always conquers the storm. Comment this phrase now. I am calm within chaos. Repeat it until it becomes instinct. Because when chaos rises again, and it always does, you will not fear it. You will welcome it as a familiar ally, knowing that within every storm hides a throne for the man disciplined enough to stand still while others run. Number 9, the discipline of psychological isolation. Power demands solitude. Every empire begins not in conquest, but in withdrawal. In the quiet moments when a man separates himself from the noise of the world to confront the truth of his own mind. Psychological isolation is not loneliness. It is purification. It is the deliberate removal of distractions, attachments, and influences that weaken your sovereignty. The Machiavellian man understands that constant exposure to other people's emotions, opinions, and fears contaminates his clarity. To rule your emotions, you must first rule your environment. The mind cannot remain sharp if it is always being invaded. Isolation is the forge where focus is tempered, where weakness is burned out, and where strength is reborn. Most men fear solitude because silence forces them to face their inner chaos. They crave noise, endless conversations, meaningless relationships, digital stimulation, anything that keeps them from seeing how undisciplined their minds truly are. But the strong man chooses silence as his teacher. In isolation, he studies himself, reshapes himself, and builds the kind of emotional armor no crowd can provide. Solitude trains you to think independently, to act without validation, and to move without permission. It cuts you off from the herd mentality that enslaves ordinary minds. The herd moves by emotion. You will move by intention. In isolation, you refine your purpose. You learn to enjoy your own company because you have become your own source of strength. No one can manipulate a man who doesn't need anything from them. This is the secret of true freedom. Detachment from dependence. When you no longer crave attention or approval, you become ungovernable. Isolation gives you perspective. You begin to see how easily people are controlled by comfort, by routine, by the need to belong. You see how the system feeds off emotional instability, keeping men weak by keeping them connected to everything that dulls their awareness. Step away and you see it all clearly. You realize that solitude is not exile, it's ascension. The more you withdraw, the more power you accumulate internally. Your focus sharpens, your patience deepens, your energy multiplies. The world becomes a study, not a struggle. The man who embraces isolation learns that solitude is not the absence of power, it is its concentration. When you return to the world, you no longer seek to fit in. You seek to command. You speak less, move slower, and radiate control. People will sense your self-containment and mistake it for arrogance. But it's not arrogance, it's discipline. You are no longer desperate for connection because you've built connection with your mission. You've replaced dependency with direction. That is why the greatest leaders, thinkers, and conquerors always vanish before they emerged. Their disappearance was not escape, it was evolution. They retreated to refine their psychology, then returned sharper, colder, unshakable. Comment this phrase now. In silence, I become unstoppable. Let it engrave itself into your psyche, because solitude is not punishment, it's preparation. When the world collapses under noise, you will stand above it, calm, composed, and entirely self-sufficient. The architect of your own empire. Number 10, the ascension of the untouchable mind. When the mind becomes untouchable, the man becomes immortal, not in body, but in legacy. This is the final stage of mastery. Transcendence through control. You have learned to silence emotion, to bend chaos, to weaponize calm, and to walk alone. Now comes the transformation from power to presence. The untouchable mind no longer reacts, it dictates. It no longer seeks dominance, it embodies it. Every thought, every gesture, every silence radiates authority. You no longer compete because you understand that competition is for those still proving themselves. You have nothing to prove, only to maintain. The world may rage, insult, or tempt, but you remain still because you are anchored to a purpose far greater than approval. The Machiavellian man understands that control is not the suppression of emotion, but the command of it. You feel, but your feelings serve your mission. You love with strength, not dependency. You act with precision, not impulse. You decide with strategy, not sentiment. This level of mastery makes you immune to manipulation, immune to chaos, immune to failure. You become a walking equilibrium, unmoved, unbroken, unreadable. The crowd cannot touch what it cannot comprehend. Power at this stage is no longer loud. It's quiet, deliberate, and terrifying in its composure. People will project myths onto your stillness, sensing strength they cannot name. Let them. Their imagination becomes your aura. The untouchable mind does not reveal itself. It operates in layers, detached, disciplined, deadly. When others panic, you plan. When they seek comfort, you seek clarity. When they look for validation, you look for leverage. The difference between you and them is now infinite. You are no longer a participant in the emotional circus of the world. You are its silent observer, the conductor behind the curtain. Remember, the greatest power is not in controlling others. It's in controlling the one within. You have now become the master of the unseen, your own psychology. The path ahead is not about more effort, but about refinement, patience, and unwavering focus. From this point forward, you move differently, slower, sharper, colder. Comment this final phrase. I am untouchable. Let it seal your evolution. Because the world does not belong to the loud, the reactive, or the emotional. It belongs to the calm, the calculating, and the controlled. Like, subscribe and turn on notifications. And remember, this is Machiavellian mode, where emotion bows to strategy and power becomes your natural